Cancer, what's going on with you? Come on in, have a seat, make yourself comfortable. My name's Alan Hill from UnknownTruthTarot.com. Welcome back to another Cancer love reading. Today we're going to take a look at the status of the love connection between you and your romantic person of interest. Now keep in mind that this is a timeless reading, so whether this is dealing with something that you're currently going through or something from your recent past that you're still healing from, you're watching this reading now because you're supposed to watch it now. So let's get on with it and let's get one card for what's the mutual point of interest between Cancer and their person of interest. What's going on with you, Cancer? It's been a minute. What's going on with Cancer as it relates to their romantic person of interest and the connection between you got a lot going on below the surface. All those cards trying to get away from me all at once like that. That is a sure sign that there is a bunch going on under the hood for you right now. Okay, what is going on with your person, Cancer? What's going on with Cancer's romantic person of interest as it relates to Cancer and the connection between them? Oh, I thought that one wanted to come for a second. Looks like we're going to go one more time here. Let's get one more card for what's going on with Cancer's person. I think we got an extra one here. Flip over in the deck. Where did you go? Maybe not. Don't want to leave anything in here flipped right side up. If it's supposed to come out, we're taking it. I guess not. It just felt like an explosion there for a second. I think there's a lot going on below the surface for them too. The overall energy of this reading, Wheel of Fortune. So in terms of zodiac signs, this is the four fixed signs: Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio. This represents a change in the luck and fortune for something. So that can go both ways. If things are going great and this card comes, that's a pretty sure sign that we had a pivotal moment that changed everything and maybe it took a left turn into the telephone pole. If things are already going bad when a card like this comes out, it can indicate someone is trying to turn the wheel the other way and correct course and put us back on the right track. Kind of straighten this thing out. Sometimes this can also represent a repeating cycle of something happening again and again. Right below this Wheel of Fortune here, whether that's a change or a repeat, we've got the Emperor. This is Aries major arcana energy. 2 major arcanas so far. This is an energy of control. It's about taking control, taking charge of a situation. The Emperor is a master manifester in the sense of it's someone who has all the abilities and all the resources to put together a plan to get what they want and then to execute that plan. Usually this doesn't represent the person that I'm reading for you in this case. Most of the time, not always, but most of the time it represents your person and them probably being in control of whether this turns around or not, or we had some sort of pivotal moment based on them trying to control something. Right behind that, I get the 9 of Pentacles, which is hiding right behind the Emperor and his control. The Emperor is the person who makes the rules and calls the shots here. This is the person who decides how things are going to be. They set the boundaries and the rules on things, and I get this 9 of Pentacles behind it, Virgo energy. This is a singles energy. It's a step back from the 10 of Pentacles, which is like maximum stability and abundance and prosperity. But in a relationship reading, the 10 of Pentacles is about combining lives together, building a life together, going down that path toward living together or being married or something along those lines, at least going in that direction. But 9 of Pentacles is physically single. It's physically independent. I can take care of myself. I don't need you to physically show up and take care of me or financially show up and take care of me. I can do all that. Now, this doesn't always mean that someone wants to be single. Doesn't always mean that someone is single, actually, because I get this card a lot for people when they're not single, but they're kind of presenting themselves in the physical world as if they're single, which might be what's going on here with this Emperor. So this is either we've had some sort of a change here because someone's trying to control being single, or someone is trying to control and put together some sort of a plan and execute it either for being single or acting single. A little confusing so far, but that's the gist of what this spread is going to talk to me about. This mutual point of interest is shared energy that affects both of you in some way, Cancer. Doesn't always affect you the same way. Sometimes this person will do this and you'll feel the consequences, or vice versa. Sometimes they'll say or do something and it makes you feel or act this way, or vice versa. But that shared energy is the Nine of Swords. This is Gemini energy of fear, worry, and anxiety. This is thinking about something over and over again with all this fear or worry behind the thinking, and doing that to the point that it becomes physically stressful. This can be nightmares, sleepless nights. I can't concentrate on what I'm doing because my mind is so wound up. I can't eat. This is not a pleasant energy. It's mental anguish. Tell me about this Nine of Swords. Why is that the shared energy between Cancer? See, look, here we are again with everything trying to get away from me all at once. Okay, let's see what we have here. Below the surface of this Nine of Swords, Seven of Swords. Okay, this is Aquarius energy. This is deceptive energy. It's lying, cheating, stealing, sneaking around behind someone's back, trying to get away with something that I shouldn't be trying to get away with. That might be the pivotal moment that changed everything. And we might have somebody, as in your person, kind of trying to control this idea of either being single or being able to act single if I'm not. This is usually an indicator that we got somebody sneaking around doing shit they ain't supposed to be doing. And when I got Nine of Swords with that in the shared energy, that tells me that either A, your person is lying and sneaking around and doing stuff they're not supposed to be, and they're fearful and worried that that's going to come out, it's going to get exposed, that they're going to get caught. Or B, you are fearful and worried and can't stop thinking that maybe this person is cheating on me. Maybe we're having a repeat of something that's already happened. I don't know yet at this stage if this is actually going on or if this is just something that you're fearful and worried might be going on. So that will clear itself up as we go. I mean, looking at the surface of what I see out here, I would say you might be right here. So yeah, below this Seven of Swords, the sneaking around, I get the Queen of Cups. This is Cancer energy. So this is you having a lot of love and emotions for your person probably receiving a lot of love and emotions from you. But notice she's the only character that has a lid on top of her cup. And she does that as a way to protect her emotions from getting contaminated. She doesn't want anything messing her up emotionally. She's been hurt emotionally before, and she's trying to prevent a repeat of something like that happening again. So she's kind of closed off somewhat here. She's at least guarded and hesitant. But what she really wants to do is take the lid off and pour her love into someone. She's, like I said, just guarded and hesitant here. Yeah, maybe because we've had somebody do this sneaky shit before. Like I said, with the Wheel of Fortune and the Emperor right behind it. Now I get the Emperor again as the third under the surface card here for this Nine of Swords. So Aries energy, taking control, taking charge, calling the shots here. Behind that is the Two of Swords, Libra energy. Twos are choices or decisions, and this is a decision that needs to be made, only it hasn't been made for some reason. Now, the lady on the card is blindfolded, and sometimes that blindfold represents, I don't really have enough data here in front of me. I don't know everything yet, and because I don't have enough information, I can't make this choice yet. Sometimes, though, that blindfold can represent blinders that someone has on. In other words, there's something about this whole situation with the sneaky, deceptive behavior, the control behavior, the way I feel about this person, but still having to keep it closed off somewhat. There's something about that I don't want to see, something that I don't want to look at, and avoiding it is actually preventing you from being able to make a decision. So take that part however it applies to you. Just don't do the silly thing you hear a lot of readers say, which is to take what resonates and leave the rest. That is that is the worst advice, because that's just encouraging people to cherry pick the parts that I want to hear, and all these parts that I don't want to hear, like they might be sneaking around, or I'm having all this worry and anxiety about the sneaking around. You will just throw that piece out the window, because I don't want that piece, so that part doesn't resonate with me. That's not what take it as it resonates means. It means take it however it applies to your situation, which is why I'm giving you multiple meanings for the cards here. Now that we've looked below the surface, when I clarified the Nine of Swords, I get the Six of Pentacles, the Four of Cups, and the Lovers. Six of Pentacles is Taurus energy. This is supposed to be balance. It's supposed to be generosity, reciprocity, like you scratch my back and I'll scratch your back and we'll take care of each other, like equal give and take. So this can sometimes represent trying to balance something out. It can reference taking a look. If you have all this fear and worry about what's going on, take a look at this connection in terms of investment. Am I investing and then getting something back in return? Or is this starting to look one-sided, where I'm putting all this stuff in, but I'm not getting anything back? I'm not getting a return on my investment. So it can represent something like that. It can also represent, in the negative sense, the merchant here, which would be your person giving to two people in the physical sense. And notice he's got one kind of hidden behind his back, which is bringing me back to this Emperor card here. Notice how big the throne is here. I don't know if it's present. Yeah, it's not really present on that version of it, but the throne is huge. You can't see what's going on behind him here. And that's because I'm the Emperor. It's none of your damn business what's going on behind me. That's for me, not for you. And I got what looks like maybe hiding somebody behind my back, and maybe being fearful and worried that that's going to come out. Now, again, it could be, because we're in the shared energy, that you might just be fearful and worried that something like that's going on. So just before you make a snap judgment, let's get a little bit farther into the reading. These are like murder mysteries to me. They piece together as I go along. So the farther along this reading goes, the more this is going to expand and like get much more clear. I've got the Four of Pentacles next clarifier here. This is Cancer energy. This is about not being fully emotionally happy or content with what you have right in front of you. So much so that there's this daydreaming going on about this other cup, this other thing that might bring me my happiness and my fulfillment. Now, sometimes that means I'm not fully happy in this connection together. The Three of Cups is what this person's looking at, and the Three Cups can reference being united and celebrating. So I'm not fully happy when we're together, and I've got this other cup, this other person that might make me happy on my mind. It could reference that. That other cup might be for you, them. I'm not happy right now and I can't quit thinking about them. It could likewise be that they're not happy when they're together and they've got this other person on their mind. So again, take that piece however it applies to you. There's nothing that says it can't be both of those at the same time. Final clarifier for the Nine of Swords is the Lovers. This is Gemini's major arcana card. Got two Gemini cards here. This card is a card that a long time ago used to be called the Choice. This is not about, twin flames or destined soul connections or soulmates or any of that kind of crap. That's all bullshit that's been imported into the meaning of the card. The original meaning of the card is about the interconnectedness between people. All of humanity is interconnected. We all share this earth together. We can't pollute the environment here in the United States and that not have an impact in Canada and Mexico and probably the rest of the globe. So this is about being in it together. One person's decisions and actions also affect other people, and there's an interconnectedness here. Now, because it used to be called the Choice, it can reference that there is a choice about this love connection between the two of you, maybe one that there's fear, worry, and anxiety attached to. It can also represent a choice between lovers, as in there might be two people here and one of them is kind of hidden behind their back. There's clearly something fishy going on with Seven of Swords being under the surface of what the fear, worry, and anxiety is about. So again, not 100% sure just yet whether that means there actually is sneaky, deceptive shit happening and they're worried it's going to come out, or if you're just worried that that's going to happen, or both of those are true at the same time. So I will come back to this shared energy as I go through your energy, Cancer, because then that will clear itself up. I'll come back to it again when I go through your person's energy, because if they are doing something sneaky, that's when we're going to catch them red-handed. Your energy in this connection, the first card is the most important. You get the Knight of Cups, central for your energy, 9 of Wands, and your final card is the King of Wands. A lot of fire over here. This Knight of Cups. Knights are action takers, and cups are about love and emotions. So this is actions toward love and emotions, moving forward with romantic offers, romantic gestures, trying to advance romantically in some way. So let's clarify that, see what's going on. It's also not super uncommon that that very first card in your energy and then all the clarifiers for it could end up being something from your person showing up over here, because whatever they have going on is affecting you so strongly. Well. I don't read reversals, and normally I just grab them and turn them right side up when they land upside down. But this card is like, it felt weird when I flipped it right side up, so I'm going to leave that one upside down just to remind me to tell you that when I get there. Below the surface of this Knight of Cups, advancing romantically kind of energy, we get the Knight of Wands. This is called the player of the tarot deck a lot of times. This can be a person who like rushes forward and takes this rapid, passionate action on something they have a lot of desire for. This can also be a person who comes rushing in all hot and heavy and all passionately and tells you everything that you want to hear in order to get what they want. And then they rush off somewhere else all passionately and run that same game there and maybe come back and forth playing two different people. Sometimes this can just reference being like a non-committal kind of an energy. It's like wishy-washy and in and out and back and forth, and I can't stay fully committed to what I said I wanted. I keep changing my mind. So it can be any or all of those things. It's not looking so great when I just had 7 of Swords on the bottom of the deck, and what I'm seeing here even. Below the surface of that is Temperance. This is Sagittarius Major Arcana. This is an energy of patience. It's about being patient with something, not being in such a big hurry. These two energies don't really go together. Like the Knight of Wands is not a patient dude, which is why he turns around and goes the other direction on a moment's notice. This can sometimes reference you trying to be patient with this in and out wishy-washy bullshit kind of an energy that you're getting from this person, and maybe I'm trying to be patient with that. Another thing Temperance can represent is the combining together of these two things to make something new. Doesn't really fit what this seems like it's talking about. It can also reference reconciliation, because in tarot, water represents love, and here the love has been separated into 2 different cups, and she's recombining it back together, trying to blend it back together, like reconcile things. I get this card a lot because it is a recalibration kind of an energy. I get this card a lot when something's really out of whack and it needs adjusted and it needs like brought back into being more evened out here. I did see 6 of Pentacles here telling you to take a look at how much you're investing versus how much you're receiving from this connection. I don't know if this is you trying to be patient with them or trying to reconcile the situation with them, trying to balance this wishy-washy stuff back out, maybe trying to turn things around for them. Not 100% sure yet. When I clarify the Knight of Cups, first clarifier is the Knight of Cups from the second deck. Then I get the Devil, the 5 of Cups, and the 10 of Cups. Now this one did come out upside down, and when I flipped it right side up, it felt iffy. So this Knight of Cups, we just talked about that. Actions toward love and emotions. Moving forward romantically. Trying to advance in some way. But here's the weird thing. The Knight of Cups, like the way he's moving on the card, he's moving to the right side. He's moving toward the future. And in the other deck here that I'm using as the main deck, the Knight of Cups is going in the opposite direction. He's heading back to the past. So I don't know if we got some sort of a wishy-washy thing going on back and forth between forward movement, not forward movement, or someone trying to move forward with something new versus moving forward with something old. I get the Devil next, which is Capricorn's Major Arcana energy. This is heavy toxic energy. It's another energy of control like the Emperor that we keep seeing here. But the Emperor is supposed to be about being in control, and the Devil is about something else having control of me. I'm not in control. This thing is in control. These are the same two people from the Lovers card, but here they've got chains around their neck. They feel trapped. They feel like they can't escape, and they've been in this toxic, distorted energy for so long that they've actually grown horns and tails, because being in this is, it's distorting who they are. It's changing pieces of who they are. This is usually an energy that's like based on something painful that's happened to someone, and they didn't heal from it. They just repressed it and they pushed it down and tried to pretend like, I'm fine, everything's fine, I'm just going to keep moving on. Only they weren't fine. They were hurt, and that pain had a message to deliver to them. And ignoring it doesn't change that. It just turns this usually into some sort of an unconscious thing that's happening, where a lot of times we don't realize we have this toxic thing that we do, or we have this negative attachment to something, and it's like an unconscious thing that we don't realize, or we're in denial of. The Devil carries denial energy a lot. This is usually a sign that there's toxicity in the connection, that there is some sort of a toxic attachment toward this idea of moving forward romantically, especially when I have that same card, but they're facing opposite directions. Like something is off here. And I felt that with Temperance, like something's out of whack here. Damn, looks like what's below the surface of that, the thing that's out of whack, is Nine of Cups. That's got two distinct meanings, especially when I've got the Devil card and the Ten of Cups just came out upside down. The first meaning here is probably about you. The Nine of Cups is supposed to be the goal. I realize everyone's goal is the Ten of Cups. I want to be together with someone, which we all want that, don't get me wrong. But the real goal is supposed to be the Nine of Cups. That's where I'm emotionally whole. I'm emotionally happy and content in and of myself. I don't need another person to show up in order to, quote, make me happy. I don't need another person to show up to make me whole, because I already am whole. My happiness doesn't come from outside of me. My happiness is something I generate myself. And if you think about it like logically for a second and like zoom back, emotions are scientifically proven to just be chemicals that we create in our body, and they have an impact on our brain, on our mind, on our emotions. Happiness is a chemical that you physically create in your body. I can't come and, quote, make you happy, because I'm not connected to the pieces in your body that make that chemical. What typically happens is we'll make ourselves happy when this other person is around and not realize that we're creating the happiness. And because they're around, we kind of like subconsciously attach that happiness to them, and we give them credit for making us happy. So this is a card of personal happiness and personal wish fulfillment. So this could be saying that you have your happiness attached to the idea of balancing them out and probably changing them so that they're not a player. Probably this, I want to fix this person. I want to take care of them and nurture them and fix them, is what this is starting to feel like. This is supposed to be your goal. So it's not an external thing that's going to make you happy. It's not an external thing or person. Your happiness is already inside you. The other part that this is talking about, I think, and that's the reason why this Sagittarius card, this Temperance card, is showing up with that. It's letting you know that there's some recalibration that you need to make to that idea of Ten of Cups versus Nine of Cups. The other thing that's out of whack related to Nine of Cups is for your person. They're wishy-washy and in and out, and they tell you what they want to hear or what you want to hear to get what they want, and they go somewhere else, and they're being a player because their own personal happiness is too important. It's out of whack. It's like it's got too much value placed on it, and that's messing things up. That's probably part of their devil that they can't quite control. They're probably controlled by their personal happiness, and I think that their personal happiness is probably in some way attached to their wand, especially because your next two cards are wand cards, including the King of Wands, the top tier of that wand suit, and their very first most important card is also a wand. That's probably got a lot to do with the devil toxic thing here. I think you guys, in terms of romantically, are going in opposite directions. Your first card is going into the past, and we've got the Wheel of Fortune as the overall energy. This can be a repeat of a cycle that's already happened with this person. You might be trying to move forward by going backwards with them instead of actually moving forward, going a whole different direction. Even this Knight of Wands can be bebopping back and forth on something. Next clarifier for that Knight of Pentacles is Five of Cups. This is Scorpio energy. Fives are conflict and change, and this is an emotional loss of some kind. It's sadness and remorse about the past. It can be regrets. The person is dressed all in black. They're mourning. They've got sad body language, and they're looking down at these three spilled cups, and that represents the loss of something important, the loss of being together. We referenced the three cups here when we talked about the Four of Cups, the idea of being together, and now we've lost that. That represents the love and emotions that have been spilled and wasted, the time, effort, and energy that got spilled and wasted. And there's still two upright cups in the background, and that can represent that I still feel this connection, and that's what's keeping me focused on the loss of it. And at its core, that's what this card is really about. Whatever you focus on is going to dictate to you what emotions you feel. So if you're focused on this thing that you've lost, you're going to feel the loss of it. If you focus on this thing that I believe is missing from my life, you're going to feel that gap in your life. When you have other things that you could shift your focus to that would make you happy, it's natural, because three cups being spilled is bigger and more important in many cases than the two upright cups. Three is bigger than two. So naturally our focus goes to the three, the part we've lost. So it will take conscious effort and paying attention and maybe a little bit of vigilance with your focus and shifting it back to where you want it to be so that you can feel the way that you want to feel. But this is an emotional loss. It's some sort of a mourning. It's attached to the devil, which means it's not a healthy thing. Like, this is feeling like still mourning the loss of something that wasn't good for you to begin with. I did just realize I've got the devil and the Wheel of Fortune looking at me right here. That's the karmic hamster wheel. That's a thing where I went through a situation and I should have learned some sort of a lesson from that, only I didn't learn the lesson. So now I'm forced to repeat the cycle again to learn the lesson this time. And until I learn the lesson, until I acknowledge the pain and the wound and actually face it and deal with it, I'm just going to keep repeating the same cycle. I'm going to keep flip-flopping back and forth, trying to recalibrate this thing, this external thing I have my attachment to, my happiness attached to, instead of doing what temperance is really about, which is an internal recalibration of your emotions. I think that's what this is telling you. Your focus is in the wrong spot, and that's why you're feeling the negative feelings. And right now you probably feel like you can't escape it, but you can. Like the loops, the chains around their neck are just loops. They could take those loops right off their head and leave anytime they want. They just don't realize they can because their head's in the loop. And the shared energy affecting you is Nine of Swords, thinking about something over and over and over again with all this fear and worry behind the thinking. So your head is clearly in the loop here. And I've got the Lovers in the shared energy and the devil. Notice they're the same two people, but this is a toxic level connection here. And then I get the Ten of Cups, which did come out upside down. The Ten of Cups is Pisces energy. Like I said, most people's goal in love and relationships, even though the Nine is really what should be the goal. This is supposed to be happily ever after, happy fairy tale romance, happy fairy tale love connection that we all dream about and that we all deserve. This is supposed to be where you're with this person and you're pouring your love into them, and they too are pouring their love into you with the same amount of effort, where it actually is balanced. And everyone is happy and fully loved and fully appreciated, and it's awesome. That's very rarely what this card shows up to tell me in one of these readings. And if you think about it logically for a second, like zoom back from your scenario and just look at, like, the other person watching a tarot reading. If they really had the 10 of Cups, would they be here watching a tarot love reading, trying to get guidance on their relationship, trying to figure out what's going on? No, they wouldn't. They would just be out living their happily ever after. They would have zero need or use for what I'm doing right here. I'm here to help people that are going through love and relationship issues and trying to figure out what's going on, trying to get clarity, trying to get closure, trying to either fix what they have and correct course with it, or figure out how to move on. And none of that is the real 10 of Cups. And usually what the 10 of Cups shows up to tell me is about someone's idealized point of view about the relationship. In other words, it's telling me that I'm looking at this relationship for the potential that I see in it. I'm looking at this relationship for how I want it to be and how I wish it was, instead of how it actually is, which is probably why you've got 5 cups attached to the 10. Notice that's half of it. It's not the whole thing. It's not the whole thing. And when I've got the Devil and the 10 of Cups in the same bit of the story, that is 100% positive sign that this isn't what you think it is. The Devil is a very illusionary kind of an energy. It is excellent at fooling us and tricking us into thinking that this thing that I'm looking at is the thing that I want. But it's a trick. You've got the Devil here and you believe what you have is the 10 of Cups, and it's a toxic, distorted version of the 10 of Cups. Central for your energy, we have the 9 of Wands. This is Sagittarius energy. This is a walled off defensive energy. This is an energy of healing. This is the wounded warrior, and he's been hurt, which is why he's built this wall around himself. It's his defense mechanism. It's his way to protect himself so he doesn't get hurt anymore. He's trying to not get hurt so he can heal, so he can move on and take the next step in his journey. Now, sometimes this can represent the barrier that's in the way, or even the perceived barrier that I believe is in the way. Tell me about this 9 of Wands, please. Why is that central to Cancer's energy? Okay. I normally get 3 clarifiers, and it just spit out a whole mess of them here. What do we got? I think you came next, yeah. All right. Below the surface of that 9 of Wands, there's our Emperor again. That's 2 cards deep in the overall energy. We've already seen it before in this deck below the surface. I think when I clarified the shared energy. Taking control, taking charge. This is the person who makes the rules, who calls the shots, who sets the boundaries. And we're looking at a card about the boundary, the barrier that's in your way. And it's either them directly or they are the one placing the barrier in your way. They're the one placing the barrier in your way, and it's them causing you to need the protection, like the defense mechanism, because behind that Emperor is the Ace of Pentacles, the new physical opportunity presenting itself. This is not an idea or a concept. It's a physical opportunity, a physical thing I can touch. It's tangible. And either they have an opportunity behind their back, like I said here with the Merchant giving to 2 and one's behind their back. And maybe that's why their walls are up and they're putting boundaries in the way, could be to protect this ability to have this new opportunity. Either that or the actual barrier is that you're still looking for an opportunity with this person. I think it could be both. But I also think for certain now that your person has a new opportunity, a new physical opportunity, as in a new person. I get 7 of Swords right behind it. We've already seen that. Lying, cheating, deception, sneaking around, trying to get away with something. That could also be why you're hurt and have to protect yourself from getting hurt again. I've seen 2 references now to you being hurt. The Queen of Cups with the lid on her cup, and now this 9 of Wands, my walls are up to protect me. When I clarify 9 of Wands, I get Justice, Page of Wands, Wheel of Fortune again, 5 of Swords, Page of Cups. Well, this is looking like it ain't the first time we've gone through the shit with this person. This Justice card is the Libra Major Arcana card. This is the most powerful card of balance in the deck. It's about doing the right, fair, just thing. The sword that's in that card is the Sword of Truth, and it's used to cut away something or someone that isn't in balance anymore. It's about cutting away the thing that's out of balance so balance can be restored, and then what's supposed to happen can happen. The right, fair, just thing can happen. This card shows up just like Temperance shows up to point out something's way out of whack. This shows up to point out something unfair and unjust is going on. And it's tied not only to the wall that you have to hide behind to protect yourself, or even the barrier they're putting in your way. It's also tied to the idea of romantic forward movement in this opposite direction going into the future, where it looks like you're trying to move romantically backwards, as in probably trying to go for another lap with them, is kind of what it's looking like. Next clarifier for the Nine of Wands is the Page of Wands. Pages are messengers, so this is passionate messages, news and messages about passion and desire. This could be expressing interest. This could be talking about what it is that I want. It's also the minor arcana version of the Fool. It's just a little more toned down version than the Fool is. The Fool would just leap right off the cliff and figure it out on the way down. And this is someone who has the willingness to take the very first steps down some brand new path towards something there's passion and desire for. That seems to be part of what the unfair thing is. That there's probably passionate messages happening, probably romantic forward movement happening. This idea of having the willingness to take the next step down the path with them is probably an unhealthy thing because it's tied to the devil. This is also probably a case where the person doing all the passionate messages can't really control the wand element of themselves. And this is probably the first stage of that flaring up. The Page is like the not fully developed version of something. We have seen the Knight already, which is the next step where I'm not just talking about it anymore. I'm taking action on it. And here the very next card we're going to clarify for you is the King of Wands. So it goes even further then. Next I get the Wheel of Fortune, which is the overall energy. Again, the 4 fixed signs, Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, Scorpio. Again, either change in the luck and fortune. The pivotal moment where this shit went sideways is when they started communicating with someone else passionately. It's not just that, though. The willingness to even do that is part of the toxic problem. Like, I don't think for a second that when you're with them that you would even have the willingness to send me passionate messages or anybody else passionate messages. I just don't think that computes for you. But they do have that willingness to do that. I think this is probably you still wanting to turn things around on some level too. This is also probably the pivotal moment where that changed, was the communication starting to happen. But it's also probably a repeating cycle of something, especially again, diagonally this close to the devil. And I've already shown you the devil and the Wheel of Fortune's the karmic hamster wheel. Well, there it is again. And it's got this sadness and remorse and loss tied either to the thing that changed it or to this idea of going for another lap and having the willingness and feeling like I can't escape from this. Next clarifier for your Nine of Wands is the 5 of Swords, Aquarius energy. Again, 5s are conflict. This can be a big fight, a big argument that ends things. This is usually a betrayal of some kind. It can also be that you're dealing with a person who has a winning at all cost kind of a mentality. In other words, I'm going to get what I want no matter what. And if you get hurt in the process, well, tough shit for you because I'm taking care of me. So it can be that kind of a person you're dealing with where collateral damage is fine. They don't care as long as they get what they want. Could be a repeating cycle of that. Could be a repeating cycle of betrayal, as in it's not the first time they've passionately communicated with people, or as we're going to see next, lovey-dovey communicated with people, because the next card is the Page of Cups, news, messages, and communications about love and emotions, flirtatious behavior, lovey-dovey messages, talking about romantic type stuff, early stages of a love offer. I guess I need to go back to this 5 of Swords again, because right beside it is that 10 of Cups. Again, if this is the real 10 of Cups, if this is the one for you, why do we got betrayal and mental and psychological pain tied directly to that? Final card for you, Cancer. King of Wands, Leo energy. This is a bold, passionate, fiery, determined person who knows exactly what he wants. Doesn't usually take no for an answer. Kind of similar to that Aries energy of the Emperor that we're seeing here. This is a very driven and motivated and ambitious type of a person. It could also be talking about like the way you view them, like you have a lot of attraction for them, a lot of passion and desire. They're probably charming and charismatic. This is also someone who's not only like driven and motivated in the normal sense, they're the pinnacle, the top tier of the wand suit. And the wand is the phallic symbol of the deck. It represents the male you know what, using it to do you know what, sexual energy, all that good stuff. This is the top tier of that suit. So it's not just someone who's driven and motivated in the normal sense. They're driven and motivated by passion and desire and sexual energy. So tell me more about this King of Wands. Why is that showing up as the final card of Cancer's energy? Please. Okay, what we got here? Okay, below the surface of that King of Wands, Knight of Wands. We already saw that, the player of the deck. So I don't think for a second this is you flip-flopping back and forth on whether they're charming and charismatic or not. This is them being a player and making decisions with their wand and not their mind. Notice it's not just the cards that come out that tell me stuff. It's also the cards that don't come out that tell me stuff. Notice we haven't seen King of Cups. We haven't seen the decision maker who makes decisions with his heart. We haven't seen a King of Swords, the decision maker who makes decisions with his head. What we're seeing instead is the King of Wands, the decision maker who makes his decisions with his head, just not the one that's on his shoulders. This is the wishy-washy, in and out, back and forth player. I'm going to tell you whatever you need to hear in order for me to get what I want. It's probably where the lovey-dovey communication comes in. They probably go do whatever the hell they want. And then all they got to do is come back and tell you they love you and they're sorry and blah, blah, blah. And I can just get right back in. Yeah, they come hot and heavy when they come. 8 of Wands is right behind that. Very, very fast energy. This is a lot of rapid back and forth passionate communicating, or a lot of movement or progress on something there's passion or desire for. Very overwhelming, a whole lot at once kind of an energy. Yeah, and then we get 7 of Cups. Scorpio energy of options and choices and confusion about the options and choices. This is a person who gets you all clouded up. There's 7 cups here. There's a lot of emotions involved here. And you don't want to make a mistake and pick the wrong cup, which is why they come on all hot and heavy. It clouds you up emotionally. It obscures your vision. They probably blow smoke screens and try to prevent you from seeing that they have other options that they're running back and forth between. This is emotions clouding my judgment or my decision making, or at the minimum, making it very difficult for discernment to happen when it comes to this person. In other words, like, I can't tell the difference between what's true and what's not true. I can't tell the difference between what's true and what's not true, which is why the devil is here with it. They're part of the problem, but this is a problem that you have only. The devil is the energy that only has the power over us that we willingly give to it by refusing to face it and deal with it. When I clarify King of Wands, I get 9 of Cups, 7 of Wands, 9 of Wands again, 3 of Cups. 9 of Cups, Pisces energy. We already saw that. That's supposed to be the goal. My personal fulfillment. This is about being emotionally happy and content in and of myself. It's sitting right next again to, we saw it before with Temperance. Something needs recalibrated with that piece. Now it's sitting right next to Justice, which is telling me there's something out of balance with that piece. And the sword of truth Like, being able to actually see the truth is what is needed here to cut something away so this balance gets restored for you. Now, the other thing that's unfair about this is we're looking at the player here and the person who's making his decisions with the wrong head. And there's something unbalanced and unfair about their personal happiness. And in this case, this is that me, myself, and I kind of an energy. And then me some more even. It's all about me, and my happiness is more important than your happiness. Me getting what I want is more important than you getting what you want. In fact, I don't want the same thing you want, which is painful, I get. Seven of Wands is the next clarifier, more Leo energy. This is a defensive energy. There's two energies in the deck that are defensive. We saw the first one as your central card, the Nine of Wands. Getting ahead of myself, but we got the Nine of Wands coming up next in these clarifiers. So I've got both of the defensive energies right here, which probably means I'm triggering the fuck out of somebody right now with everything that I'm saying right here. But sorry, not my intention to trigger you. My intention is to get you the truth so that you can make your own decisions that are in your own best interest for your own greatest good. And I can't do that if I'm sugarcoating dog turds and telling you that they're Snickers bars when they're not. There's plenty of readers out there that do that. And if that's what you're looking for and you want to stay stuck, by all means, go watch them. But I'm not that dude, and I ain't never going to be that dude. I'm not saying anything here to make you defensive on purpose. I'm just ripping the Band-Aid off and forcing you to take your focus away from the external thing and redirect it back internal, because all of your power is inside you, not outside you. This can indicate that you're being defensive in some way. It's in the same row with the Devil, so it could be that there's this toxic attachment that you have, and everything I'm saying is triggering you right now. This Seven of Wands could also just mean that your person is defensive. Like, maybe you call them out on being a player and they're like, no, I wasn't doing that. It wasn't me. I'm not doing anything like that. It could also reference being willing to fight for something, being willing to defend your position or your stance, or fight for what you believe in or what you desire, trying to fight for this connection, trying to fight for the thing that you have your personal happiness attached to, which looks like it's them, even though there's this wishy-washiness attached to it, and this overwhelm attached to it, and this confusion attached to it. Son of a bitch. I didn't go deep enough, because right behind the options and choices and the smoke screen that I'm using to cover that Seven of Swords, the sneaking around I saw, is the Queen of Wands. Your Cancer, your Queen of Cups, Queen of Wands is the counterpart to this King of Wands that there's all the passion and desire and attraction for. She's the fire element queen, the hot queen, like the one I have attraction for and sexual energy for. And then there's the Sun, the happiest card in the deck, more Leo energy tied directly to that person. Now, this is also an energy of illumination and something getting illuminated so it can be seen. That just hasn't happened yet because she's still in front of that, it looks like. Could allow them to be defensive and tell you, nuh-uh, I'm not doing that. Nuh-uh, I'm not talking to anybody else that kind of way. Probably wouldn't be the first time this has happened. If I had to bet you a cup of coffee on it, I would say they've done this before, and if not with you, with someone else. Next, I get the Nine of Wands, Sagittarius energy. Already saw it, walled off, defensive, energy of healing, energy of trying to protect myself. It can also represent the barrier that's in your way. Look, I've got the Five of Cups in that same row. Sadness, remorse, regrets, emotional loss, focus, being in a place that makes me focus on what I've lost, what I don't have, feeling negative emotions. That could be the barrier that's in your way. Could be a repeating cycle of you getting stuck in grief over this person and still feeling like you can't escape from it. We got one jumping off, that Page of Cups. Yeah, they probably just have to come back and say the right words to you at the right moment. And they probably come in and tell you everything you want to hear just to get what they want. And they get past your walls, is what I would say. And this is saying, hey, if you want to protect your actual happiness, and what you are worthy of and what you deserve, you're going to have a defense against them. You're going to have to block their oncoming energy and protect yourself. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck in a repeat of it. This could also just be that they're putting a barrier in your way and you're trying to fight through it. But Three of Cups is the final clarifier for this King of Wands. This is Cancer energy. This is either being reunited and celebrating, getting back together, and maybe that's what you perceive as the barrier. If we could just fight past this and get past the barrier, we could be reunited again. But I don't think what you're seeing is this person is fundamentally the wrong one. They don't want to get past the barrier. They want to run and sow their wild oats and make all this passionate advancement and give to two people and have a choice here and have options. Like, they don't want to be tied down. They want to be able to go after these hot chicks whenever they want to. The other thing the Three of Cups can represent is a third-party love triangle, which is why there are 3 cups in the picture. 3 cups of love in the picture. We got a choice between lovers out here. We got, when I'm together, I'm not fully happy and I'm daydreaming about this other thing that I want that would make me happy. I got giving to 2 people. I've got the player flip-flopping back and forth. I've got 3 cups of love tied directly to betrayal and mental and psychological pain. And in that same row is this idealized fantasy view of looking at it for how I wish it was, or the potential that I see in it versus how it actually is. The one card over here that has nothing to go with it, I read it in columns and then I connect it in rows on the way down, and this card is in a row all by itself. There's no information in front of it or after it, and it's just that not fully emotionally mature, not fully emotionally developed energy being at the early stage. Notice there's a fish in his cup. That can be sleight of hand. That can be, hey, look over here so you don't see what I'm really up to. I don't want you to look me in the eyes because then you'll be able to feel me. So I'm distracting you. I know this one feels heavy. It feels heavy for me too. So I'm sorry that this is what you've been going through, or if this is what you've been going through. I'm hoping like hell I'm completely screwing this whole reading up and you're going to tell me in the comments I'm full of shit and this has absolutely nothing to do with what you're going through. That would make me happy. Let's take a look at your person's energy, Cancer. First card for them is the most important, 4 of Wands, central to their energy, 3 of Swords. And their final card is the Empress. 4 of Wands is Aries energy. This is 4s are stability. So this is stability of the home, the family, the connection between the two of you. These 4 wands can represent 1111, which is the number of manifesting. This is the stage in manifesting when the thing I want actually shows up and it appears and it's stable in the physical reality. I can see it. It's here. I can celebrate its arrival. So either we're talking about the stability that they have with you or had with you, or we're talking about something that they want has shown up. I do see them as King of Wands over here with a whole lot of wand energy. Shit, dude. I think it's both of those things at the same time. Below the surface here, I get strength. Leo, Major Arcana. This is about going through a very difficult situation that's so hard I'm being forced to dig down deep inside myself to find my internal strength to tap into it so I can get through this. I don't really feel like that. The other meaning to the card is about trying to tame this beast inside themselves. There's this urge or this impulse or this desire. That's what the devil is, especially when I've seen Knight of Wands a few times and I got King of Wands out here. There's this element of them that they're not fully in control of. And when they have this stability with you, they're struggling with something that they're not in control of. And the lady can't hold the lion back. If the lion decides to go take off and do whatever the hell it wants to, she can't stop it, which is like a metaphor for willpower eventually fades. And if you don't get this thing under control before that happens, this is going to run off and make some kind of a devastating mistake. And we usually lose that struggle. But then we got the Emperor in the background behind it talking about, I'm in full control here. They're not in control. This lady doesn't control the lion. The lion's choosing to be cool right now. There's a difference. And like I said, there's always an element of denial with the devil. And when I see the devil and the Emperor keep showing up together, that's someone who's not really in control. That's someone who has the mask of being in control, who puts up the facade of being in control. Maybe they're trying to convince you they're in control themselves. Hell, maybe they're trying to convince themselves that they're in control, but they're not in control. And a lot of times that type of person takes the control thing too far, and they go from being in control to being controlling. They try to control the other people and the situations around them as a way to like overcompensate for the fact that they're out of control of some piece of themselves. But during that time, when there's stability with you, something that they want actually appears, which is why we get to these clarifiers: 5 of Pentacles, Ace of Wands, King of Pentacles. I feel like I got to start at the end for some reason here. This King of Pentacles is Taurus energy. This is husband type energy. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you're legally married to this person. Could be, but this is like that kind of an energy, like provider, the stable provider, the person that would be building their life around me. The King of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles build the 10 of Pentacles, that combine together life. So this would be that aspect of this person. But speaking of 10 of Pentacles, the first clarifier here is the 5 of Pentacles. More Taurus energy, but again, 5s are conflict and change. And I feel like I've said that several times in this reading. This is abandonment. This is being cast aside, being left out in the cold, being discarded, walked away from. This is a breakup energy. So either they have some sort of like, okay, like I said at the beginning, a lot of times the devil will be some element of a person who got hurt at some point in their past very badly, and instead of healing from it, they repressed it and just moved on and tried to pretend like they were fine when they weren't. Well, there might be some sort of an abandonment issue that they have tied to stable home, stable family. This could just be them discarding stability with you, breaking up and moving on and leaving you out in the cold, walking away from this husband type energy, whatever that means for this particular person in you. But in the middle of all that is the Ace of Wands. That's the phallic symbol of the deck. This is a passionate new beginning, a new beginning in passion and desire. Central for their energy, 3 of Swords, Libra energy of heartbreak and sadness from a third energy. Third energy is not always a romantic third party. Hell, if they've got some sort of an abandonment issue from early childhood or something related to stability of their home life when they were kid, and that's maybe what the devil energy is here, that could be the third energy. You know, the way daddy treated him could be the third energy. The way mommy treated him could be the third energy. It could be any number of things. It could be working too much. I don't really see that here. It could totally be another person, though. So tell me about this 3 of Swords, please. It could be another person, especially because I have the Merchant giving to 2 in the shared energy, the Lovers, the choice between lovers in the shared energy, and I also have the 9 of Swords, fear, worry, and anxiety that I'm going to get found out. I've got 3 of Cups and betrayal over here. All the indicators are pointing at that this is another person. I got the Wand is out here. I've got them making their decisions based on the Wand and what they want and desire. Yeah, below the surface of this 3 of Swords, heartbreak and sadness from a third energy, we get the 7 of Cups, Scorpio energy of options and choices and confusion about the options and choices. This person has more than just you as an option, and these clouds of smoke are a smoke screen that they're blowing. This is their way of obscuring your vision. It's their way of going, nuh-uh, I didn't do that, nuh-uh. It's them telling you what you need to hear. Knight of Wands we've seen. telling you what you need to hear in order to keep you from being able to see what's actually going on. That's probably why I saw that Two of Swords toward the very beginning, where you got the blindfold on. And it's not necessarily that you put the blindfold on yourself and are choosing to keep it there, as much as they probably put the blindfold on you and now you're just choosing not to take it off. Yeah, the thing they're hiding, they're blowing the smoke screen to protect. Knight of Wands. Player energy, back and forth, playing two different people. All that passion and desire of the Eight of Wands right behind it again. A lot of movement, a lot of passionate messages, a lot of movement and progress in that passion desire department. When I clarify Three of Swords for them, I get the Hermit, the Tower, and the Sun. Notice the clarifiers for the Three of Swords are all three major arcana cards. Powerful energy. We all have free will, and we all have the ability to exercise that free will a lot easier on these minor arcana energies. They represent the mundane, everyday aspects of being a human being. But these major arcana energies, we can exercise free will on them, don't get me wrong. It's just not quite as easy. This Hermit card is the Virgo Major Arcana card. This is a card of withdrawal, isolation. I get this card when communication shuts down, when they're not talking anymore. If it hasn't shut down entirely, I do see 2 pages over here. If it hasn't shut down entirely, it's way different than it used to be. This is supposed to be about soul searching and deep inner reflection and deep contemplation and trying to figure out what to do moving forward, but looking inside myself about what adjustments do I need to make to me in order to be able to move forward. I don't think that's what's happening at all here. I get this card a lot when the person ghosts you and they just abruptly disappear, or when they leave you and break your heart and you don't have any closure on the matter, where you still feel chained to it and feel like I can't escape it and I'm still grieving it because I believed it was the 10 of Cups with them, only I got betrayed, and I'm still focused on getting past all of it and fighting past this barrier that's in the way to get back to being reunited. This feels like you don't have closure on it because they didn't give you closure. And I feel compelled to tell you that closure isn't even something they can give you. Closure isn't something that another person gives to you. It's something you create for yourself. And you create it by facing it and looking at the truth of it and dealing with that and the loss and the grief about, this idealized viewpoint that I had. When we believe that this is the happily ever after for me, we start making all these future plans in our mind. We see the wedding, for example. We see all kinds of different future events based on possibility, based on what I believe this could turn into. And when you spend enough time going through that loop and that cycle of that and doing that over and over again, you end up having to grieve not just the loss of the connection and not just the loss of this person, but you have to grieve the fantasy future that you have lived in your mind that isn't going to happen anymore. And that's real. Like, even though those events didn't occur anywhere but in your mind, they still occurred there and they're still real there. And that creates real feelings and real pain that has a message for you that actually needs addressed and healed and not just kind of bypassed. And this looks like you didn't get closure about the abandonment and the breakup. If they did any soul searching, it was about how to just leave this behind and get gone. The next clarifier for the Three of Swords is the Tower. This becomes what's literally the center card in your person's energy. Your center card is going for another lap, correcting course, or a repeat of the cycle. If it's the repeat of the cycle, there's walled off defensive hurt energy next to it. There's betrayal, mental, psychological pain tied to it. There's emotional loss and remorse and regrets and sadness tied to it. And then there's also the willingness to take the next step here, to take the first step, to try to balance it back out, to get past the barrier. This isn't a barrier that you can get past with them because they're not the right person. We've got the Tower here. That's the collapse. This is the moment where it all came crashing down. Some important structure in your lives has collapsed based on heartbreak and sadness from a third energy, based on probably ghosting with no closure. This is the collapse of their relationship. Sometimes this is the collapse of the belief system you had about the relationship, like this mental model of the world you were operating from with this 10 of Cups idea. This is the collapse of that. Like something has happened now to shatter the belief. And the thing that's happened now to shatter the connection and probably, hopefully, your belief in it is this Ace of Wands, the passionate new beginning. The person, their phallic symbol here, that's what they make their decisions with. They're passion, desire oriented, and you're love and emotions oriented. Not saying those things can't intermingle, they can. They're just not the same thing. Final card here to clarify the Three of Swords is the Sun. This is a Leo Major Arcana, the happiest card in the deck. Happiness, joy, bliss, harmony. Really hard to get a better card than that. And when it's tied to the idea of ending and third party and ghosting and directly, like diagonally connected to their wand, it is also connected to the idea of being husband or being, person that's building their life around someone. Now, the other thing the Sun can represent is it is the card that comes right after the moon in the sequence. So when the moon's out and it's dark outside and something's hidden in the dark, there's something going on that you can't see, that you don't know about, the next step is the sun comes up and now it's not dark anymore. So whatever was being hidden gets illuminated, it gets exposed, and you could see it, which could be what crashed the tower down. It could be that they're still fearful and worried and anxious that something like this is going to happen, that they're going to get found out. The final card for your person, Cancer, is the Empress. This is the mother of the tarot deck. She's always pregnant. She's always giving birth to something. In a relationship reading, she represents the birth of something new, as in the birth of a new relationship. Tell me about the Empress, please. Why is the Empress the final card for Cancer's person? Notice how it's worked the whole time. Cards just shoot out like crazy, and now I'm being forced to go dig for it here. Staying upright in the deck, making me dig it out, making me shuffle twice. It's like they don't want to talk anymore, which again, center column first clarifier, the Hermit, communication shutting down. Below the surface of this birth of something new, I get the Eight of Wands. Rapid back and forth, passionate communications, passionate messages, rapid forward movement or progress on something passion, desire related. Happening really fast. King of Wands right behind it. We've already seen that on your side of the table. Leo energy. They know what they want. They're going after it. They're not taking no for an answer. They're driven and motivated and determined, and also driven and motivated by passion and desire and sexual energy. Hence all this rapid movement, hence the birth of something new, hence the third party, hence the wand being here, hence abandoning stability, bringing a tower down, not giving you closure. Seven of Cups behind it again, Scorpio energy. They got options and choices, and they're blowing a smoke screen to hide that Knight of Wands. You've seen me shuffle this how many times now, and we keep getting the same message here. They're hiding that they're being a player. They're given to two people. They have a choice. This is probably a person who's not ever happy with what they have, and there's always this bright new shiny thing that if I had that, I'd be happy. But then once they get that, they're probably not happy for more than 10 or 15 minutes, and then they're unsatisfied again and they need another new thing. It's probably why I keep getting Knight of Wands over and over again with the Devil out here. When I clarify the Empress, first clarifier, Two of Pentacles, Five of Wands, Three of Pentacles. So first thing I noticed is we're making progress in the physical realm here. We're going from the Two of Pentacles to the Three. So physical advancement is happening. This Two of Pentacles is Capricorn energy. Twos are choices. This is a choice between these two physical things. And I can't have both of them at the same time. I have to pick this one or that one. Do I or don't I? Should I or shouldn't I? Do I take you or do I take the birth of something new here? This passionate new beginning that I've got. So this is that back and forth, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, not fully committed. Saw that repeatedly with the Knight of Wands. Not fully committed one way or another, keeps flip-flopping back and forth. Same kind of a deal here. This can also represent juggling two different people here, especially because I've birthed something new. If they're doing any soul searching and looking inside themselves, they're looking at which one do I want? Which way do I go, George? And it looks like ultimately they decide on abandonment. Next clarifier for the Empress is the Five of Wands, which goes perfectly with that Two of Pentacles and that Knight of Wands we keep seeing. Five is, again, conflict. This is a conflict in desires. It's Leo energy. This is an internal conflict where a piece of them wants you and another piece of them wants this new thing that they've brought in. And now I'm torn and conflicted and my energy's scattered and I'm playing this internal game of tug of war with myself about what do I want. And then that brings a collapse to everything between the two of you because they pick the new wand here, the passionate new beginning. Final clarifier is the Three of Pentacles, more Capricorn energy. Again, we advanced physically here. Now we've got this teamwork and collaboration and working together as equals to build something of value. This is laying the foundations that move toward the Ten of Pentacles, about like the combining lives together. So there's some element of the birth of something new and them getting to like working together with that person for some reason. Happiness is in the middle of that idea between husband energy, person that's building my life around someone energy, facing this direction. The horse and the child on the Sun card are facing that direction, moving into the future. And here we've got this idea of building something together with someone. Man, this person, they feel like they have done a number on you. But it also feels like there are parts of you that are stuck simply because you've got all of your focus placed externally from yourself onto the external thing. Even here in this Four of Cups, I'm not fully happy with what I have. And I'm daydreaming about this other thing that's outside of me, that if this showed up, then I would be happy. And that's probably the source of the problem, because happiness doesn't happen to you. It's something you create for yourself, and it's something that is inside of you already. It's not ever outside of you, and it never has been.